Today with George Peters, and he has agreed to let us interview him and speak with him about his experiences in the military. And George, I really thank you for letting us do this and for your service. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll get over to my stall here and let me just get a tiny bit of background. I usually like to ask a person before they went into the military. Now, as I gather from our conversation, a little it might be kind of an interesting story, so why don't you take us
Well, I
from
was
there?
a young in Whitman, Massachusetts, and it's a place where they had a diner and the trucks would come in loaded with fish from the docks coming out of the sea. And my buddy, young kids, wild as we were, decided to take a truck, and I got elected to do the driving. And we got in the truck, and neither one of us knew how to drive it. Put the gears in, and the gears that I put in were the dump gears, and we dumped a load of fish. In them days, they had juvenile judges, but it wasn't like today. It was more informal, and it was more butt chewing and give you a on your way. But anyway, the judge decided that, told my dad that one of two things could happen. I could go to reform school, I could go in the Army. So my dad and I decided we'd go in the Army, and that's how I got in the Army. My dad signed the papers, and I was at 16 at the time. It was June 5th, 1951, and the war had just broken out. So off into the Army I went.
Now, you said you had to lie about your age, even though your dad signed the papers, or not?
My dad signed the papers, and parental permission at that. But you had to be, I don't know how old without parental permission, but you were supposed to be 17 as a minimum age, and I was 16.
Okay, but as long as he signed, then it went through or whatever.
Well, he fibbed on it.
Okay, that's what I was trying to.
So,
Yeah. Now, did the judge know you were only 16 when he gave
Well,
you
the
that
judge
option?
wasn't involved in this at all now because we had made the decision and he just sent us on our way.
Yeah, okay. So he didn't know when he gave you the option to go into the Army that really legally you couldn't for an
No,
Army.
that's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, but you guys kind of held your peace and, okay, interesting. So, where did you head off to at that point?
My brother was in the service at the time already, and he was in Japan, and I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, to be processed, which is making the news today,
Yes,
with the terrorists.
exactly.
But I went to Fort Dix, and after basic training, I went to jump school at Fort Dix, airborne training, and then I went to Ranger School, went to airborne. And from there, I was shipped to Korea. So I got my introduction as a young soldier into wars, so to say. It's called a conflict, but I think that's a matter of terminology.
Mhm.
But it was sort of fun along the way because when I went to Japan, everybody went by ship in them days. And I went over on a troop ship, and my brother was in Japan, so he met me. And had an opportunity to sit with him. And he wanted me to tell the chaplain, underage, and get out. So anyway, he convinced me that people were dying in Korea. So I did. I talked to the chaplain, and the chaplain told me that I went to airborne school and I went to Ranger school, and now I was going to stay in. That was the end of that discussion. So we left there at Drake, Japan, which trained everybody with issued them a weapon and zeroed in the weapon, gave them their combat gear, put them on a plane, went down to Sasebo, Japan, and got on an LCU, a little landing craft, and went into the Incheon invasion. And that's when I realized, woofta, we're in trouble.
Yeah, this isn't just a...
Yeah, this isn't as fun as I thought it would be. But I was in Korea about 4 months and got wounded pretty bad. They had airplanes and they were dropping bombs and strafing, which we didn't have in Vietnam. And I took shrapnel through the bottom of my mouth and took out the front of the teeth and went up across the head and came out the back. So that was my first Purple Heart.
And you were 16 at the time?
I was I just turned 17.
Just turned 17?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I was evacuated back to Japan. And was in Tokyo General Hospital.
General Hospital?
It was a general hospital at the time, yeah.
Okay.
Military general.
Okay.
And Harry Truman was the president. And like I say, I was sort of a little ruffian, I guess, or whatever. And I enjoyed life. Nothing bad, but just enjoyed life. And they wanted to know if all of us wanted to go down to a USO out of the ward we were in. And it was Margaret Truman singing an opera. Now, you got to picture a bunch of young soldiers wanting to hear opera.
Exactly.
I mean, that wasn't quite the music we but anyway, those were life experiences, and I came out of there, was reassigned to Japan. I didn't go back to Korea because my needed rehabilitation, etc. I was in Japan about a year and a half, and things weren't going well. Tissue in the back of the head and stuff. I was flown to the States and went to Walter Reed Army Hospital and was there 18 months. So that was my experience. Got out of there. My dad wanted me to get out of the Army and come home, so I did. I got out of the Army in 1954 and stayed out, I think about 11 or 12 months. And I got involved in pass posting races with the bookies and the mafia back east. And saw big money and, all kinds of good things, but I found out that the guy that did the run that it and the pass posting got the punishment. So I went to the recruiting station and I said, you gotta take me back, I gotta get out quick. A fellow named Saber re-enlisted, and I went back in the Army in 1958.
Army saved your butt twice.
And I stayed there for 21 years.
Wow. Okay.
So 24 total, counting the Korean. Been all over the world, many different locations and places. Did 18 years as a Green Beret, and at that, a lot of people don't know how the Green Beret came about, but what happened was a bunch of old soldiers that were good soldiers, tough soldiers, to do works for the country, and wanted to have an identifying method, and they came up with the Green Beret. Nobody would approve it. Everybody fought it because they felt that they would run amok, and Joe Jones didn't have control or whatever. So President Kennedy came down to Fort Bragg to review the troops, and while he was there, we had a grizzly old sergeant who gave him a Green Beret and told him about the need to identify us. And Kennedy signed an executive order creating the Green Beret. And that's how the hat came about.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I have the story. I've written the story on that.
Now, the fact that the grizzled dude gave him a green beret, was that because he was suggesting they be called that or identified by it?
Identified by it.
Uh-huh.
Methodology of standing separate from other people in the military.
Right.
However, today everybody wears berets. Black beret, red beret, pink beret, whatever. But the Green Beret was the only beret that was in the American Army for 12 years. And then the military went different color berets for different whatever. But anyway, that's how the hat came about. It was designed by French commandos that gave to us as honorary soldiers. That's how it started. And we wore it, but we wore it when we weren't around anybody that could scold us.
Right.
But anyway, Kennedy signed the order and it became the official headgear, special forces. And today they're called special operations. And they're combined units, We operated in 8-man teams, and we were all over the world. We tracked down Che Guevara, Fidel Castro's brother. Spent many months in the jungle in Latin America hunting him and finding him. Anyway, as time progressed and the years went on, in my case, I got promoted and moved up in the ranks. And somewhere around the age of 32 or 33, I decided to soldier a little hard, stop being a hooligan, and put my nose to the grindstone, and soldier pretty hard. In 1963, I went to Vietnam. Most people didn't know there was a Vietnam at the time. Set up a radio relay station on Nui Ban Din, which they called Tame Mountain. Charlie owned the bottom of it, we owned the top, and we put a relay unit in there. I developed at that time the first fixed gun mount helicopter, and we were flying H-21 Sikorsky helicopters, old banana helicopters. I don't remember them or not. They were antiques, rotors in the back and rotors in the front.
Oh, yes.
They were built in Connecticut with Sikorsky up. But we were using them, and we were flying ARVN troops around. There weren't many Americans there. It was like 200 Americans in the country at the time. Security agency was setting up radio stations and getting stuff ready, and they knew, things were going to happen. But that was my first trip to Vietnam, 1963. I then made 4 more trips after that. Ran an A-team up in Pleiku, the home of the Dirty Dozen, and up in the mountains. And we had hooches located in what a place called Bemi Tuot. And we had taken over the huts that were built by the King of Siam. And he used to host President Roosevelt there for safaris and hunting trips. And it was an amazing little place in the woods up in Bemi Tuot area. It was right on the Cambodian border and right at the tip of the Ia Drang Valley. And the Ia Drang Valley is where they made the movie about the Band of Brothers and the Dirty Dozen and all that. A couple more rooms there. I think, Kirk, if go to war, had to fight and American people have no idea what war is. You do what you need to do. You want. It's not something that has to settle. It's not nice. Very ugly. Yes, I learned when you run war, the first one, not I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, there's not that one. This time in the on shock yet. From overall amount of sleep, nightmares, and extreme difficulty. I did not know how to become you become. Because this is fighting to the government. There are older we had in Vietnam. Around 17, 19-year-olds. Joining and coming. Anything that was, but blowgun over there that they would put down in human waste.
And the human waste then would,
The punji steaks did, you know. You would set in with a combination of the heat pump, combination of heat.
wow.
This is a blow. Only used by the Highlanders, what they call the Highlanders. Put the dart in the heat in there. And then they use this when it water swells to be here. Dart, and you get infected. Time you got pretty bad blood poisoning. A lot of that stuff. And they were identified as some poisonous. This is how we ate thumbs. This is a lip trap. And most of the time you could apply by health foods, etc. But when you operate teams out there, a lot of times they would and weather would set in and they couldn't in, etc. So if you can't buy food, you are okay. But if you try anything, it would spoil. And if you kill it, then you have meat every day. That's all you have. So we made traps for vendors. We set these traps in the ground, put the stake in next to the hole for the lizard. He'd come out and look around, he'd it and get caught in it. And that's what he would say and pick the trap. He kept it was but things up. Most people haven't seen anything like that. This is the rubber out of it. The rubber.
Now, I assume Liz,
Pardon?
I assume you really missed
frankly,
that. Was it really?
Frankly, it was.
Did they taste like chicken like they always does?
Well,
or
you know,
what?
you learn to eat anything.
Oh, absolutely.
I have, truthfully, we have, the American soldier is a funny person. When you get out of so that's a bad term, the regular units in the Army, they would move through an area, you would find and our team found a peanut butter, I don't know if you see peanut butter, about that big and round, about that, and shared that amongst 8 people, because we didn't get resupplied. Kind of the camaraderie, knowing that your back is covered, the professional element on the team, knowing each person knows. But it's stuff that you'll carry with you the rest of your life. It will never leave. Times and events cause it to surface not good. And again, I relate to the American people. I remember coming home one Christmas, 2 children, coming home one Christmas, and I just spent every dime I had for kids for Christmas. And the was, why didn't I get this or why didn't I get that? And I became extremely angry. I had seen kids in villages that have never had a life. Families that would just walk both ways. The Viet Cong, Charlie coming from the north and the Islands coming from the south. And the American people do not have any sense of, unless they've been, people are carrying wars inside of them. And war is hard. You live so you can survive. And that's what happens. We spent 3 major tours and 1 short tour in Vietnam. I have been awarded 4 Purple Hearts. I'm paying for it now. I have the little box on the top. This is a bullet they gave me, and an AK-47. And it hit bones going in, it's got the meat in it still.
That's skin you, I mean,
Yeah. Of a raid, we were making a night move through the mountains up in the valley, and I heard a grenade off, a snap. And I jumped on top of the radar, and it caught me, the grenade caught us, the Achilles tendon, and took the Achilles tendon out. Resulted in bleeding pretty bad, around about 9 o'clock. So we had to wait like this in the morning to get out. So they put a plastic Achilles tendon in my foot. Fragments from that grenade in my spine, and they were going to do because it blown it every once in a while. The doctor came up from a physician for the VA from recommended I not do it for the fear of sepsis. So you carry stuff. And another mess, and I guess that's one of the reasons I agreed to do this. Because we tend to great talk about helping the veteran who needs help. When the time comes, I and forget where the need is. Come back, they need prostheses, they need support, injuries. And from my own life experience, I know that I carry a lot of that you can knock it down with press and pills and all that crap, but there are times that you can't knock it down and they're going to surface on it. You're going to need it. And you need to be there for them, especially veterans that are still living need to be there for the young ones coming up.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Say that again. That out again.
The veterans that are still, we're losing 2,000 a day. We're 2,000 a day. Marine veteran, you got the peacetime veterans, you got you got all kinds of activities people have involved in that we forget about. And beyond it, and they need support, especially these guard units. Because if anybody has been a career man, I know that the guard in the war was up. Unbelievable. We're picking up, we're displacing their homes, families, completely going to bring them back and not give them benefits of the house that they need. But the veterans that we have here, no matter whether they're war veterans or peacetime veterans or whatever, they need to step up and be. We'll lose the that hold the glue together in the service organization. The VFW, the American Legion, those folks are the working folks held them together, and they're still holding them. And we need to step up and do our job on that end with it. And we hold our elected representatives accountable for what they get us into and how they treat us. I don't know what else to say.
Are you consider running for office is what
No.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna edit this. I don't hold our elected officials in high esteem right now.
I couldn't,
They forget us, they forget why we asked them to go down there. But the only other thing that I call this my Adam,
okay.
the Korean government sent 2 years ago, which 1952.
No kidding, yes.
But it's so.
It is, wow. Is able to catch that okay? I'll tip it up to also show the way that the...
And the
Cool. Wow, you wear those, you wouldn't have to wait.
all those and a dime to get you a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Now you get you a free get you a bunch of appreciation. Do you want to just tell us briefly just a little bit about what those are, or me and point if you want?
Well, this is a infantryman's badge. Award for an infantryman. An infantryman that is in good with the enemy. For being engaged in combat. Represents 2 wars. Korea, I got the original. This award valor. I have 4
Certain instances.
the example put on the didn't understand because I wanted to get out of there. You know.
Yeah.
So notorious service over all the years. This is a very, I mentioned to you, I developed on the helicopter. In the villa with bungee cords, machine gun, operations with that they ended up shooting a helicopter. So I made a gun mount, just welded it together, and then I cut machine gun. It was solidly.
So you were the one that did that?
Yeah, I got one of the attaboys is for that. Initiative, what do you know?
Ingenuity?
Ingenuity comes from the stuff we deal with today comes from the military.
They didn't have it that way.
Flew on helicopters. This parachute. Parachute. A couple times. A column was one of the Vietnamese wings, so I went up and jumped. AML clusters, which means 3 ML. Time. The Army Medal clusters. The Purple Heart with 3 clusters. Medal and the cluster, each of. I did after a number of years.
You didn't dump it?
I had to work real hard to get that one. Korean occupation, Korean service medal, Korean service cross of gallantry for working in a few lives with those folks.
The what army?
Big pardon?
Working with the what army?
Army of the Republic of Vietnam. There's an acronym.
Yes.
I retired as a command sergeant, and I got a battlefield commission as most of our leaders were wiped out, and I commanded a platoon and
Thanks, that's very, very fascinating. Impressive.
well, thank you. I'm proud of
You well should be. Could you tell us what the over there looks like a dipper and
yeah, this was used, we used this for harvest in the paddies, and you gather it this way and then you cut it back this way, and we used to do was we tried the American way, pull it together. This worked so well, and they taught us how to yards a lot up in the mountain. They were, people, I consider them very loyal and very, I have simply a dipper of water that we use into our rations, because we learned that it would burn itself in the water and
So that's actually been, wow.
and molded it. And I figured I carried that for me.
Oh, that is so cool that you brought.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
So, anyway, and when all that was said and done, and we gathered, as you know, and turned the niece, and interpreters behind, and all that, I guess we're thinking about doing back. You carry within 58,000 and 87 amputees that are around and the North Vietnamese moved into after all that years of. He said that the American soldiers, many of them, did what they do and done it well. However it turned out, it certainly wasn't their fault.
Certainly wasn't. You mentioned that would have been, you know, there's a word, but our forces and stuff. I mean, anyway, you must have gotten it pretty well.
The Vietnamese?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Now, I don't know. With our pulling out, it's almost certain good things did not happen to
Well,
us.
many were assassinated. And, the value of life you see in third world countries, you mentioned earlier you've traveled all over the world, very different than it is in America or the States. You know, I don't know, probably still in grammar school, the chief of police in Saigon shot in the square in Saigon. I mean, they just took him out in the middle, put a gun up to his head and shot him. Pictures of the Buddhist monks setting on fire. I have him very large photo. On a helmet for intelligence. A lot of intelligence information. The camera running almost constant. Out of that, I had my choice of pics that I turned in my film and stuff. Stuff at home, just literally. And I didn't get rid of it.
Good for you. Oh, I'm so glad. Wow.
No. But
Occurs to me to wonder if we or something, even some of them, you know. Yeah, but
yeah.
still.
I think what I'm going to do is turn off, probably sooner than later. Conditions are deteriorating.
Well, there are years to do, but if you think that that's what you do, it would be so awesome if you would sooner than later, because then you sit down with someone and they could document what it's about and such.
The museum, I don't know if you know Carolyn. Carolyn is a dear friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told her I don't feel good about the local museum.
It's
That's where it belongs.
Yeah, this is going to be national. Yeah.
And I think that with that now and doing these things with it, you're going to see that do nothing but grow. National recognition, because and they're going to want to come to see it.
Yeah.
We might be dealing with local people now, but I think it's spread out. It does.
Oh, Lina is such a
Yeah.
under
Well,
her awesome visionary. So yeah, no.
go back Vietnam the last time, I got an assignment to be the Sergeant Major of the 4th Infantry in Berlin. At that time, the wall was up, I'm sure. Our job was to do a lot of snooping and pooping in the east. And according to the World War II, we had to run Americans to cross at checkpoints in the east. So I used to run 2 patrols, and 2 intelligence gathering, special made cars that had run very efficiently east and patrol the east and look around. I developed some friends in. They couldn't let anybody know they were friends, and I would give food to clothes to them and get it from the area post and the families in the car and then bring them over in that car anyway, because that was the agreement. There was times that we came back in and the checkpoint put blankets on top of it, put a search on the roof, and heat the car to the point that we almost leave. But it finally pull us out when we get out of there. Harassment.
Yeah, not
absolutely.
just harassment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but we did some. I don't know, we retaliated. I don't know if you remember the Gary Powers U pilot. He was flying a U-2 in the down.
Oh.
Captured him as a prisoner.
Yeah.
We traded a prisoner for him. And when Gary came across Freedom Bridge on the Wannsee River in Berlin, but the Wannsee River flowed in Berlin. When he was going across the bridge, there was C2 charges getting ready. If anything went wrong, I got back and I disconnected the charge. Just a lot of things that people don't even know we as soldiers are doing to them. And you see, that's what gripes me. So what my job was, and I know what I did, and I know that we could have taken down Saddam Hussein, $3 or $4 million. Kill him. We can't kill him because I think it was Lyndon's executive order that we weren't allowed to. That's the dumbest order in the world. I know that we could have bought a hit squad in, we could have set them up, we could have corralled, and it would have been over. But here we are now, in a quagmire. Anyway, I was in Berlin, I got reassigned to a job, which is a non-jumping type job. Makes a jumper unhappy when they can't jump. At McBarracks in Berlin. And my job was the enlisted Spandau prison. Spandau prison was located in the first sector. Berlin was divided up in 3 sectors when they signed the agreement in World War II. The occupation was by the Americans in the American sector, the French sector, and the British in the British sector. The Germans were not allowed to have an army in Berlin. They could not have a farm. However, I will tell you that we trained the force in the world in Berlin. And we had them working the wall pretty hard. Anyway, I went out to Spandau Prison. Spandau Prison was an antiquated prison that was built to house 300 prisoners. It had one prisoner in it, Rudolf Hess, captured in Britain in World War II. He was an high-ranking next to him, tried crime-wise and sentenced to life. He was placed under the forces in Berlin, and he was the only prisoner. But remember now, it was a 300 men. Every 30 days, changed. The British, the Americans would take it, and the Russians. 4 countries that guarded the troops that guarded the 30 days. But there would always be a American, a French, a British, and a Russian, and a warden there. But they could watch each other all the time. Experience from a little hole to all of a sudden being and it was an amazing to watch this old man in prison who was receiving 4 newspapers every day, British, an American, a Russian newspaper. He had every satellite that was in the world in walls. He's amazing, extremely intelligent man, isolated from the world, all by himself. You would get 3 hours a day. He had picked up rocks all around and made a chess set for himself on the stump of a tree. And he would play chess against himself. Just a story on it, about a 25-page.
Now, do you have copies of some of these
Yeah,
things? The museum would be very interested in
I
some
still
of
have
that.
it. But that was an amazing experience. And what happened was one day my daughter collected rocks, and I decided I would take a rock from his chess set and bring it home again. Now, any time that happened, Rudolph, then it would have to be a joint meeting. The British, the French, the Americans, and the Russians. Everybody wanted to let Rudolph know what he felt. This is an old man except, and they would oppose it, and he ended up dying. But the reason the Russians wanted to go was the only place in the free an armed contingent in the 5th month. They bring all the, and you would have a huge Kirk changing the guard from the Russians, and the papers would come. Amazing, and I think, gosh.
What year roughly was this?
1972, 1973. Yeah,
Wow.
72, 1973. But so you, I thought I was writing a book.
I actually would encourage you to go ahead and do that.
I'm not going to do it now.
No.
But anyway, I found an incident report, so we well.
Because of the rock.
Yeah, because of, so Donna still has the rock.
Awesome.
Yeah. He has a piece of the Berlin Wall. You know. A buddy of mine was over there when they took it down. But
Wow.
yeah, just a. So I came back to the States, and I was very fortunate. I was selected to go to class number of the Sergeant Major's Academy down at El Paso, Texas, Fort Texas. And the Army created a special academy, 6-month academy. It's equivalent to the Command and General Staff College for officers. I don't know if you know, but that is the highest college there he has. And it's open to the service. That they have that. But anyway, they did men, and you had a sergeant major. At the time, there were only 300 sergeant majors. And we were a big army then. Today we're nothing. I went to the Sergeant Major's Academy. When I graduated there, I became the enlisted commandant in the world, the drill sergeant in New Jersey.
The
And
only enlisted
Commandant. Yeah, usually an officer is a commandant.
thing now, yes.
Yeah, and
Sure.
I was a senior NCO and an enlisted commandant.
Gotcha.
And when the Army went to war, and I had women on the second, women, all kinds of problems, I had to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Submitted my resignation and retired. I had 4 years active duty.
Wow. What a life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah.
And I get the notion.
Well, you know, it's sort of funny. My mom and dad were young, and always said it was 9 grandchildren, and my mom that I was gonna die a violent death, because I was always, never stood still. So I tried to avoid those situations. And yeah,
Oh, wow.
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, that's basically it.
Can I ask?
Absolutely.
Gosh. Well, it's just kind of striking me that because of a dump load of fish, the life we have.
That's where it came, yeah.
You know?
You know, I don't know if I would have ever found that life.
Right.
In them days, you know, if you jumped out of line, you a little, you didn't get beat down and bloodied or nothing, but brought you around. I remember the man that made a soldier out of me. His name was A. Soublé, and he was from Louisiana. I remember he was, I say you bet. Of course, he was Dutch, but he never pulled this ring. Pound on each other for a while, and I'd soldier real hard for about a month. I'd have to do that again. And when I told you when I was about 30 or 33, I decided, hey, you know, come on. I've been a private more times than most soldiers. So anyway, he back to the States, Hawaii, Gila on the radio States, and I heard got out of the Army. And Kirk, I was coming across the tarmac in Nha Trang, Vietnam. I heard somebody holler, "Hey, sucker, get over!" And I turned around to Soublé. He had gone back on active duty during the Vietnam War.
Oh, for crying out loud.
But they wouldn't let him go in too old at the time. So he was in the rear area, and it was just like,
No kidding.
yeah, it was really neat. But I never will forget Paul J. Soublé.
Wow. Let me ask you what you think of opera nowadays.
What do I think of what?
Opera. did
I threw in my car.
I was wondering if she
And I don't like ballroom dancing.
if she had converted anything.
Give me a good old country western band and a Bud Light.
How are we doing time-wise on tape?
13 minutes.
Great, okay, and we can add another. Can you go into a little more of the quote dirty tricks? Now, I realize you may have limitations there, and I want to respect them, but I mean, can you give us more of an idea of some of the behaviors you were involved in that were going on?
Yeah, well, Dirty Tricks was formulating with the underground most of the time in the country to try to organize them and support them with equipment or whatever was needed to follow our cause, or to follow what they felt their cause was at the time. Special forces have operated in some of the dirtiest, toughest places, and most Americans don't even know that they're doing the thing, you know. Up in the mountains in Afghanistan all the time. And now we're moving fixed. But the nicknames of those things are Dirty Tricks, and those that would work for us in them days. I don't know how it works now. An alert for our team to move, and we'd go up to what they call Smoke Bomb Hill at Fort Bragg. There's an underground war room there, and you would go into the underground war room and receive information, and then you would usually fly out on what they call Blackbirds, which are unidentified aircraft. They're all black, and they're flown by CIA pilots and take you to wherever your mission is. Most of the time you would jump in, that's why you were parachuting and all that. We called it the triple threat, you know. But over all the years that I was in, I probably went on 40 different missions, not counting the fixed
Right,
type stuff.
right.
But again, it was 24 years. You know,
Sure. But any close calls that you?
Oh yeah. Trying to get out, you know, as quick as you, easiest way you can. And usually you try to operate close to borders, say you can cross the border into another country and usually they can't get in on you. We did a lot of work in Berlin, a lot of work behind the East Wall, around the G2s that I told you about, and the Wangtze River, Gary Powers deal. And I know for a fact that the Russians were on the other side of the bridge in the water. Because men coming in and going out, you know.
Probably waving each other.
You know, hey, come on. But, we worked, you know, the whole East Berlin situation was very, for many, many years. You know, Reagan went over there and told Gorbachev to walk down. Guy really done the job. Latin America is a hot spot and still is today. The issues are not resolved there. But we have troops still running around the jungles in those countries. I still have contact with people on the Hill. Who never die. We got a few that retired right outside the base, and they keep friends outside the base, and we stay in touch.
Did you ever stay in touch with anyone made in East Berlin?
You know, that's sort of interesting because about a week ago, I went on the internet trying to find a sergeant major from the Army. Cameron, his name was. And, he was with the King's Own Scottish Borderers Regiment. And we partied hard and played hard. And we trained them in our activities, and they in turn trained us in theirs. We created what they call commandos now. But no, not really. I wished I had, but I haven't.
Any chance you remember names or any, I mean, is there any chance to pursue that? Do you think you could find anyone?
Well, I did get into the King's Own Scottish Borderers Museum on the website, and I wrote all kinds of notes on it. But they have to be approved before they post them by some moderator or something.
Okay.
And I'm waiting to see. I'm hoping.
Yeah, that would be so fascinating.
Oh yeah,
so awesome.
that would be really neat.
That really would. Well, post it if you ever get any contact.
I will. Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, that'd be really neat to see him because I got a lot of pictures of he and I together, not in the best shape, but pretty hard soldier and hard fighter. And they were doing a lot of at that time in Belfast with the IRA and all that.
Sure.
So I'd take a leave and go over with him and visit and see what he was doing.
Do you have thoughts on? I so appreciate with you on what you said about that whole concept about the older vets need to step forward and be there for the vets coming home. Do you have any ideas how that could be fleshed out?
You know, bad choice of words, but my words, the American people are so into themselves and the complacency of what goes around around them, as long as it doesn't affect them individually, they take no action, they do nothing about it. We need, as a nation, to get angry. And we need to say that we're not going to tolerate what's going on any longer. Somehow, some way. You know, I know we become isolationists, but I do know that we need to stop for ourselves. And the group of people that we have elected to office have failed to do that when they get down there and get comfortable in their chairs. And I don't want to get political on this because, to me, it's the whole doggone mob. It's not a party. We're Americans. We need to do something together. And you know, and I go over to I get my treatment at the VA because I can never afford to pay. You know, we were so abused as retirees. When I turned 65, and I didn't know this, I lost my health insurance, my military medical coverage. What? Yeah, they took it away. Congress passed a law. Once you went on Medicare, you lost your military medical retirement. Now, full circle on that story, and to be fair to everybody, there was a way and cry across the country. And I said, wait a minute, I spent 24 years, I was promised medical coverage.
No kidding.
Well, but you went on Medicare, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the way and cry got so bad, and the organization worked so hard, Congress went to work, and they passed a bill, and they instituted medical coverage again for retirees called TRICARE. TRICARE for life if you're a retiree, and TRICARE for a... However, when they passed that law, they put a 2-year moratorium on the implementation of that law. So there was no insurance for an additional 2 years. And of course, that caught me right at the time of everything. And Jan had just been diagnosed with MS, and her shots were $1,000 a week for one shot. But anyway, the way and cry went out across the country. Wait a minute, we need 2 years. What's the rationale? Now, this is what we were told as retirees. The cost of the insurance is so prohibitive, we delayed it for 2 years because majority of the World War II retirees will have passed away in that 2 years. That was the answer that was given out to the retirees.
They said that?
They really said that, and I wouldn't say it if I didn't.
Yeah.
Told that and shown that and getting that in writing. And I'm one of these pit bulls that when I get on
Good for
something,
you.
I won't let go of legs until I got an answer. But anyway, that's what the rationale was. So basically, through the age of 65, 66, I think it was in 68, my 68th birthday, that they passed it, so I had to wait till I was 70 before I had the coverage.
Good Lord.
Now, that's the retiree. Now, my retirement pay was about $1,100 a month when I retired. When I went to the VA and got classified as connected disability, they wanted me disability. They take $1 away from my retired pay. So I ended up getting, for everything I got, $93 a month from the VA, which went up to $103 after a while.
Oh, whoop-de-doo.
Lost 103 out of my retirement pay.
Yeah.
The only occupation in the world that if you get hurt on the job, you get penalized. Now they've changed that. And if you're that wounded by the Army, you can draw both your retirement pay and your disability. But you have to submit like that. A lot of the vets don't have the ability to handle that, don't have the help. I was fortunate enough to be able to do it. The first time I submitted it, I was down as non-combat related. I can show you a package, make you roll over. I wrote to every congressman that I have. I wrote to every service organization, and I wrote to the President of the United States.
Good for you.
Never got an answer from the President of the United States. Got an answer from his social secretary. But I didn't get any help. I didn't get any help anywhere. Finally, the DAV hired a lawyer, not one of their reps, but a lawyer, and said, what are you saying not combat related? Look at the man's record, look at the heart.
You think he got the
Oh,
shrapnel?
we made a mistake. And they ordered me, but they didn't go retroactive. And I didn't care
They
at that
didn't
stage.
even go.
No, and I didn't care at that stage.
Yeah, yeah.
At that stage, it was a fight of business. But I have every bit of that documentation,
Yeah. Well, that should be somewhere. George, from the bottom of my heart, let me thank you
Thank you, Gert.
for this interview, for your service to your country, and thank you for
Thank you.
everything.
Thank you for what you do now. We're making a history of it, and that's important.
We are, and that's
We can't
important.
let people forget.
And I really encourage you to do those things I talked about with your own videotaping. I
Yeah.
really do.
Appreciate it. Someday I may get ambitious and drive off.
Sounds good. Thanks again so much.
Thank you.
Get your address too.
Okay?
Are you